you beautiful Americans doing today? Wow. Thank you for the warm welcome. That's very good for my narcissism. Just take that straight to my ego. Man, what a joy to be here with y'all, and I just want to make sure I'm in the right spot. Make a little noise if you love freedom. Okay. I like that. I'm also curious, make a little noise if you not only love freedom, but you're also committed to taking action to stand for freedom so that one day America can thrive once again. Make a little noise if that's you. Hell yeah. I love it. I think I'm in the right spot. Now, in a few minutes, I want to share with you guys how I know freedom will win in this country. And we're also going to I'll be taking a few questions from the audience in a few minutes. There's some mics there, but we'll get to that in a moment. First, I would love to share with you guys, I had a chance to watch President Biden's satanic speech he gave a month ago. Did y'all see that? I was very inspired. Now more than ever, I am excited for our country to fully unite once and for all so we can finally get to what really matters, the Civil War. And I think this is going to be a great Civil War we have coming up. It'll be fun, it'll be exciting, it'll be competitive. But I think this is going to be a confusing Civil War, right? Because you think about the last one we had. It was the North versus the South. Those are two very clearly defined sides and directions. But this one, the left versus the right, how confusing is that going to be on the battlefield? You won't know who to kill. You'll be like, Captain, where's the left? He's like, they're over there on the right. Well, is that my right or your right? He's like, oh, yeah, that's a good question. That's my right, your left. Roger that. So I'll be out there. I don't know about you, but I want to make a difference for our country. I want to kill people, but in a peaceful Portland kind of way, so it's awesome. I just imagine with all the confusion, I won't know who to kill. Got to run up, identify people first, right? You're like, what side are you on, man? He's like, relax, I'm on the right. I'll be like, I don't believe you. He's like, what climate change? All right, you're good. Go to the next guy. What side are you on, man? He's like, first off, man isn't my preferred pronoun. Don't move. Got him. He was on my team, too. I just didn't need to know anything about his genitals. It's like, I didn't ask. Why are you telling me about that? What the hell's wrong with you? But here's the question for you beautiful people. Civil War coming up. We're all looking forward to it. Left versus the right. What side are you going to be on? You chicken shits? Now, I'll tell you, I think there's only one correct answer for everybody. Only one team, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your beliefs are, what your politics are. You know, you could be a conservative or you could be a communist. And I think there's still only one correct answer. You want to be on the right. Because it's a war. Wouldn't you want to be on the side with all the guns? Does that make sense to your self-preservation instinct? Right. One side is very pro-gun. The other side is very anti-gun. I don't think they thought through that strategy very well. And one side has actual military training. The other side has woke military training. It's like, oh, look at that very diverse-looking group of blue-haired them-theirs that are rage screaming because they can't find a safe space. They're right out in the open. This is almost too easy. But screw them, I don't care. Now, I don't want to talk about politics today. But before I don't talk about politics, I think the Civil War's already started. We just have to learn to recognize the weapons that are being used. And it's people, right? Like southern state governors bombing blue cities with just cannonballing people up there, like Governor Abbott bombing Chicago with illegal immigrants. Then Chicago bombs Republican neighborhoods with them. I think it's great. I'm looking forward to like DeSantis. I hope he starts tying notes to their feet like they're pigeons. Right? Some guy in Martha's Vineyard wakes up in the morning, walks outside of his mansion. He's like, well, what's this? I have to clean off my lawn. Wait a minute. There's a note tied to his foot. Go screw yourself, libtard. Who wrote this? It's just signed Ron. My heart goes out to the people in Florida with Hurricane Ian, certainly devastating. I've got good friends of mine who are very liberal thinking. That's awesome. I love to connect with people. I don't care about differences. I want to connect with them. But they're telling me their take on why this hurricane happened. Like, JP, this hurricane is so devastating because of climate change. I'm like, bro, you idiot, can't you think for yourself? This hurricane is obviously caused by weather control technology that the globalists are using to control and suppress the population. And then my wife's listening to us. She's like, babe, do you ever consider that maybe the cause of the hurricane could have been like the weather? I'm like, babe, you are crazy. I don't get into your conspiratorial thinking. It doesn't make sense. I'd love to share with you a little bit. My beautiful wife and I and our little boy, we recently moved outside of Austin, Texas. One clap for Austin. No, is that, you got to ask, is that a clap for or against Austin? Against and for. Dude, I love like different parts of Texas, how they look at Austin. They're like, no, that's not real Texas. Austin's like Texas light. I think Austin's like the tampon of Texas. It's just this soft, flimsy thing in the middle of a sea of red. It's a youth summit. You got to share tampon jokes. We're about an hour outside of Austin. We're out in the country. I love it. We're on a ranch. Any of y'all live out in the country? Hell yeah. I think the country is beautiful. We got a lot of deer out there. People have been teaching me, out in our town, they're like, yeah, JP, we got a lot of deer. They're overrun because deer don't have any natural predators. Well, now that we've been there for 3 months, I've learned that is incorrect information. Deer have one natural predator, and it's my car. I'll be driving out home at night, playing dodgeball with a deer, coming down the road, and I just see their glowing eyes turn and look at me. Now I've learned what they're thinking in that moment. They're just like, there's a car speeding down the road in my direction. Now's probably a good time to cross. Ready, set, almost here, go, bam, I got a deer. I meet these wonderful people around town. They're like, JP, do you hunt? I'm like, kinda. What kind of gun do you use? Well, I have a Ford Explorer. They're like, that's a hell of a gun. It's a lot of power. I like your style. The town we're in, it's very conservative. Almost too conservative, even for me. These people out there, they're so conservative, they won't even support Trump. They're just like, that wuss is too liberal for us. We want an actual extremist in office, like a hitman or a grizzly bear. Do they make holsters that fit bald eagles? I'd vote for an eagle with a gun. That's patriotic. There's actually one intersection near my house, four-way intersection, no stop signs. I'd love to be in that city council meeting when that idea is shot down. Some nice woman's just like, well, maybe we should put a stop sign in that intersection and we could save lives. They're just like, nobody's going to infringe on our freedoms, woman. Give me liberty or give me death. She's like, well, that's actually exactly what's going to happen if we don't do this. My lady and I, we're doing some self-responsibility on our land. We're starting to become more responsible for our own food, water, protection. Curious, any of you guys, raise your hands if you or your family is doing a little prepping. A few? Yeah, most of you just want to die in the upcoming apocalypse? Okay. I mean, the way I look at it, nobody wants this apocalyptic situation where power grid's down, food supplies all shut off, and just chaos, people hurting each other, killing each other, trying to take their food. But I've learned if you're doing some prepping, you kind of want that, right? You don't want all this wasted effort. It's like you wouldn't train for a sport your whole life and then just never play that sport. I want all this food and ammo to go to waste. And with the painstaking steps that my wife and I are taking, I guarantee we'll be able to keep our family alive for at least an extra 2 or 3 days if the poop ever hits the fan. They'll probably find my dead, limp body laying in front of 300 pounds of dried rice, starved to death. It's like, didn't figure out I needed a way to cook it, too. There's a lady in Georgia. She's running for governor. Her name's Stacey Abrams. Some fans here. What was it? About 2 weeks ago, she said something just hilarious. Stacey Abrams, she's very pro-abortion. She wants to mandate abortions for everybody under the age of 27 or something like that. And someone asked her, well, okay, you're against abortions, but what about the fetal heartbeat? Do you know what she said? Those aren't real. I like how her mind works. She thinks a heartbeat is a conspiracy theory. Puts me to shame. I'm just over here thinking the earth is flat, space is fake, birds aren't real, obviously CIA robots. And she thinks a heartbeat's a conspiracy theory? What if she's right? What else are they lying to us about? I want to pull her line of thinking into my relationship. All right, next time my wife is angry at me for hurting her feelings, just be like, babe, your feelings are fake. Just groans. Yeah, she's a lucky lady to have me. Also paying attention, a couple weeks ago, last weekend, I was in Philadelphia, and the fine people of Pennsylvania, they've got a Senate race between Dr. Oz and, what's that kind of mentally unstable guy? What's his name? Fetterman. Yeah, John Fetterman. To me, he just looks like a tumor had sex with a hoodie, and then that's what it's still doing. But I'm curious, any of y'all get into conspiracy theories? Make a little noise if you do. Yeah. I don't believe in reality anymore. It's just statistically way less accurate. And I'd like to share with you my favorite conspiracy theory, which I know is true. They're still trying to cover it up, hide the truth from us. But first, here's how I know it's true. Because anytime I talk about it and someone doesn't believe me, I instantly get like a feeling of boiling rage inside my abdomen, which compels me to scream at the person, repeating at them over and over and louder what I've already told them as I seek to understand them less. That's how I know I'm right. So listen up. No, here it is, guaranteed true. Joe Biden died 2.5 years ago. Fact. Did you ever see the movie Weekend at Bernie's? It's what they've been doing with him ever since. They're just like, pushing him on stage. Time to give a speech, Joe. And they pull him off the stage. They're like, hey, everybody, sorry to cut this speech short. And great speech, by the way. But time for Joe to eat some lunch. Hey, Joe, how's the salad? All right. Look at him eat with a mask on. That's a hell of a virtue signal. Was that 2 masks on now, Joe? Well, they're different colors. Kind of looks like you just want me to know you're wearing 2 masks, you deep state puppet. Hey, now Joe's water skiing on the lake face first. That's a lot of agility for a man his age. I think we can trust him. Build back better. He'll be the symbol of racial unity. Andy gave the eulogy at the funeral of a KKK leader, called him a great friend and mentor. What laptop? Stop asking questions. But that's not the corrupt part. Corruption comes when we find out it's not the Democrats that have been covering that up. It's been the Republicans. Because they knew that if you knew Joe Biden was dead, a dead Joe Biden looks like a much stronger candidate than an alive Joe Biden. And they know a lot more dead people are going to come out to vote for a dead Joe Biden. They rigged the election. Hey, with that said, I would love to connect with you guys via a little Q&A. So if you have a question you'd like to bounce off me, there's a mic here at the front. I'd love to get to as many as we can, which will be somewhere between 3 and 495. And I love being an open book with like-hearted people. So if you have any question about the world you'd love my delusional perspective on, I would be more than happy to share with you anything I know, and if I don't know anything good, I'll make something up and see if you can tell the difference. So with that said, please share your name, where you're from, and what your question is.
Hello, my name's Emil. I'm from Tomball, Texas. I love your videos, by the way. And so I just want to know, like, is there any video that you've been, like, afraid or, like, nervous to post because of stuff that you'll get back from it? And if so, what was it?
It's a great question. As far as stuff I'll get back, you mean, like, backlash of... Yeah. Thank you for the question, my friend. And the answer is no. I haven't been afraid to post videos out of fear of backlash. You can maybe tell by the gray in my beard, I'm 41 years old. So I've learned the most worthless currency on the planet is the currency of other people's approval. So, thank you. So when I know my heart is in the right spot, I know what my intentions are about what the greater purpose is that I'm trying to do with a given video, that's what I care about. And other people's approval or disapproval, that just happens, and I look at it like it's none of my business. But I would say the fear that I have, though, when I'm posting every video, is censorship, and specifically being deplatformed. So that's a fear that comes up in me, and just because I love being on all the platforms because it's a way I get to connect with people. So, and by the way, when I share, like, I don't get scared about backlash from other people or groups or like blue-haired nut jobs. Not trying to act like I don't have fear in life. Dude, I get scared about plenty. But when I do, I try to move forward anyway rather than being paralyzed by the fear. So, love the question. Thank you, my friend. Which, by the way, your name, where you're from, and I love your shirt. Only socialists skip leg day.
How much do you squat?
It's taken from a guy wearing a leg day shirt. How much do I squat? So the most I've ever squatted is 405 pounds. And, well, thank you. And that was a good number of years ago. As I get older, I don't really care too much more about max weight. Plus, I completely severed my patella tendon last year, so I'm still recovering from that. So I don't squat that anymore, but that's my all-time best.
I got one more.
Yeah.
Can you say your best Joe Biden joke?
No. I would love to, but it would just take more time than what we've got here. But thank you. But I have to ask, how much can you squat? 325? Okay, now that we all know our places. Thank you, brother. Your name, where you're from, and what's your question?
My name is Cassie Baker. I am from Kyle, Texas, and I was wondering what has been the funniest backlash you've ever gotten, and also can you sign my fanny pack?
So the funniest backlash I've ever gotten, so I don't pay too much attention to it, but I would say in the overall picture, to me it's hilarious how the backlash tends to be so uncreative. It's just always transphobic, racist, misogynist. It's just like you turn open the playbook and they're reading off a script. And I will add to that. Please bring it up. Probably the funniest backlash I've ever gotten, probably 6 years ago. I was in, it's hard to do two things at once, but I'm doing it. And I'm doing a third thing because I'm narrating what I'm doing. That, by the way, Cassie, that looks like I had a seizure while I was writing that. And I'll share just briefly because it comes to my mind. The funniest backlash, a few years ago, I was in Costa Rica. And I was there for a few months, and I made a video about Costa Rica, just kind of like making fun of some of the trends that are unique to the area. And the next day, that video was all over the evening news. They were discussing that in their national government because they actually saw it as a threat to tourism. Anytime I went out on the street, people were harassing me. Not funny at the time, but looking back, it was kind of funny. And that was actually a backlash I deserved. It wasn't some cancel culture, people being offended frivolously. I look back at that and say, like, yeah, I deserved that. I wasn't actually sensitive to how, and I don't mean to like sensitive, like let's all just be in a safe space, but I wasn't thoughtful about this is parts of their culture that I was teeing up and taking a swing at in a way that I didn't intend to be disrespectful, but looking back, I'm like, that was disrespectful. So thank you for the question. Have time for just a couple more. Yes, sir.
My name's Dylan Main. I'm from Houston. I was wondering, do you ever plan on making a video about a liberal being stuck in like Russia or Ukraine during the war and getting what they want, but still wanting more at the same time?
That's so specific. No. But I love the way your mind thinks, and maybe I'll just sit with that and plagiarize your idea if it resonates. Thank you for the question.
Hey there, my name is Davis Byer, and I'm from Tomball, Texas. And So I was just wondering, because I think we all know you for good political commentary and also great humor, and I was just wondering, like, what kicked off your career? Which one was it? And then how do you see yourself today between those two ideas?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So what I do today as a career is a big happy accident. So rewinding, before I was doing comedy, I was doing health coaching with people. Loved it. Then I decided, well, let me make a comedy video about this topic I want to talk about. It'll be stupid, but I'll just do one video. So I uploaded my first comedy video 8 years ago in October 2014, and that woke something up inside of me. There was a creative fulfillment I had never known before, and it mentioned before like how approval is a very worthless currency. But the most valuable currency, in my opinion, is internal fulfillment. Doing things with a purpose that feels fulfilling, which now I've realized that always has to do with contributing to the betterment of other people, whether it's giving them laughs or however it is. So up until the spring of 2020, I'd been making comedy videos for about 6 years. It was amazing. Never was in the politic discussion at all. I didn't like politics. I thought it was boring. Certainly wasn't going to make comedy videos about politics. But then our freedom started getting taken away. They launched what I like to call the pandemic in the spring of 2020. And I don't know about you, but for the first time in my life, I start seeing freedoms get eroded away. And that's also the same time that I found out my wife was pregnant with our first child. And as I started to speak on the topic of freedom through the language of comedy, I saw this divide happen. Like, ooh, I get backlash for speaking about freedom. I was like, why? This is America. I thought everybody was supposed to unite about freedom. But when I saw it starting to get divided and realizing, well, this is a political issue, I really had no choice. Because with my little boy coming into the world, I know there's one conversation that I'm never willing to have with my son. And that's where I have to explain to him two things. One, what freedom was. And two, why his father didn't do anything about it while he had a chance. So, spring of 2020, I started realizing freedom is my number one value. So I do my best to be of service to God, and I was feeling God's asking me to use my voice to stand for freedom. And here we are. I look forward to the day when I don't need to do comedy about freedom anymore.
Hey, thanks for your answer.
Absolutely. So with that said, I wish we had time to get to the other questions. You guys are amazing, beautiful people. But as I've got to leave the stage, I want to leave you with this. Here's how I know freedom will win. Freedom's God's way. And I think you and I caring about freedom and putting effort into spreading the message of freedom, getting people to wake up, I think what we're doing is accelerating the timeline in which freedom does indeed win. But for me, it's a given. Freedom is God's way, and God's way always wins out. I think when we look at the opposite of freedom, we have control. Control is constriction, and that happens via fear. Freedom being synonymous with God, in my opinion, freedom is expansion. Freedom's God's way. Freedom is also synonymous with love. Fear constricts and controls. Freedom expands and is love. And I think you and I, we're very excited to see in our lives, our children and our grandchildren's lives, an experience where they get to swim in their birthright of freedom. So for me, this is a very exciting time. It's a very meaningful time to be alive, where if you care about freedom and you align your words and your actions with freedom, I believe you are unquestionably doing God's work. Lastly, I'll leave you with this. Once in a while, I'll have people tell me, like, yeah, JP, I've been thinking about having kids. Our heart is really wanting kids, but I look at the world today. I look at these evil people trying to inflict tyranny all over the place. It's like the world has dragons in it. And I don't know if I want to bring a child into the world during a time with so many dragons. Here's my thought on that. You don't have to worry about bringing kids into this world when there's a time of dragons, when what you're really bringing into the world is dragon slayers. And I look out at you beautiful people, and all I see is dragon slayers. It's a pleasure to be on Team Freedom with y'all. Thank you for having me, and stay free.